Hello, my name is hyun Kang. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Université Saint-Louis in Brussels. And today, I'd like to introduce my new book here. It is called Climate Change Adaptation in River Management, a comparative study of Germany and South Korea. When we talk about climate policies, carbon emission reductions are important. But at the same time, we need to adapt to the changing environment. So many countries nowadays are already setting up their own climate change adaptation policies, but with different strategies. So as a political scientist, I was interested in the reasons behind those different adaptation strategies. I chose water management, especially river management, as my case study. And then I chose Germany and South Korea to compare those different adaptation strategies. We now all understand that climate is changing because of human activities. But how can we feel that our environment is changing? It is mostly through the change of water cycle. So more extreme weather events, such as torrential rain or storms, are expected to occur more frequently. At the same time, the periods without snow or rain are getting longer, resulting in drought in many areas around the world. So climate change is even described as water change by scientists. Therefore, water management is one of the most critical issues when we talk about adapting to climate change. These two countries share similar conditions in terms of politics, economy, and geography. Germany is located in Western Europe, whereas South Korea is located in East Asia, so they seem different from each other. But both countries have relatively high level of democracy and also economic development. At the same time, they have similar climate conditions, and both countries also have several rivers which cross their lands. With such similar conditions, the two countries have recently implemented quite different river management policies. So in Germany, in the past, they modified their rivers very heavily for making canals to transport goods or to produce electricity or making agricultural lands or for flood prevention. But when we look at their recent river management policy, especially in the climate change adaptation strategy, they now emphasize a renaturalization of their rivers. It means giving more space to the rivers for better flood prevention. Meanwhile, in Korea, they have recently implemented an engineering-based project for the rivers. It is called the Four Rivers Project. And this project included building 16 dams and dredging the riverbeds in the four large rivers in Korea. I found the contrasting policies for the same goal, flood prevention, very interesting. So what are the factors behind the change of German flood management policy? At the same time, what are the factors behind the stability of Korean flood management and river management policies? So those were the main questions when I wrote my book. After conducting more than 50 interviews with policymakers, experts, and journalists, I concluded that the change of German river management is because of the combination of their social discourse change and some critical events. In the 1970s and 80s in Germany, environmental movements became very strong, and this affected people's opinion on nature. So people started to see their rivers not just for their own benefit, for human use, but also for the ecosystem. At the same time, some critical events such as the Chernobyl disaster or the Sandoz chemical accident occurred, and they also alerted people about how they manage their rivers. At the same time, in South Korea, environmentalism also got strengthened in the last 30 years, but it is still a weaker social discourse compared to technocentrism and developmentalism. It is probably due to the recent experience of fast economic development in Korea in the second half of the 20th century. And the economic development through the advancement of technology and engineering is still a very strong social discourse which influences the overall policymaking process. But I think the Forest project could be a critical event for Korea in terms of its river management, because it was implemented about 10 years ago, and now people start to see the negative impact of river modification on the ecosystem. So when we look back history in the future, the Forest project could be a critical event in the policy process. The EU has played a significant role. At the EU level, there are two directives which are relevant to adaptation of water management, and they were adopted after 2000. They are the European Water Framework Directive and Floods Directives. And those directives emphasize the importance of water body ecology and conservation of those ecosystems, and also conserving and restoring natural water retention areas such as natural floodplains or wetlands. So as a member of the EU, Germany has to follow those legally binding regulations. So although those directives are not the single reason why Germany had changed their water management and river management policies, those directives have guided the change of German river management policies in the last 2 decades. Climate change, policy process, and recently networks.